Hey, it's Mel. Today we are reading Chapter 3 of my international bestseller, The High Five Habit. And if you're wondering how on earth can the High Five Habit help me with serious problems, today Chapter 3 is going to address that head on. So as you roll in from around the world, why don't you tell me where you're watching from? And today we're also going to take a little bit of time to answer your questions. So ask questions. And once we're ready to go with LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, we're going to bring those folks in. So I'm ready to go on Instagram, everybody. Super excited that you're here. Do I need to put the thing on Instagram or do you post it on Instagram? Or great. Okay, you guys can go ahead and take me live on the other platforms. Hi, everybody. Where are you watching from? Here we go. We're going live. highfivehabit.com. I'm just posting the URL, everybody, while we wait for our friends to come in. Pin comment. Boom! I did it. Hi, everybody. So let's welcome our friends in from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from Twitter, from YouTube. Hi, everybody. It's Mel Robbins. Welcome. Today we're reading from Chapter 3 of my international bestseller, The High Five Habit. I've asked our friends on Instagram to tell us where they're watching from. So if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, why don't you tell us where you're tuning in from? And today, Chapter 3 is a short chapter. And so I'm going to do my best to take some of your questions and answer some of your questions, okay? Also, just want to thank everybody who has bought The High Five Habit. And I love seeing how many of you are starting to buy this book for your teams at work. I love that you're buying it for friends. If you can afford to buy a copy of The High Five Habit and send it to a friend or a loved one, it's literally a way to give them a high five, because this book contains the tools that anybody can use to leverage science to learn how to believe in yourself again, to learn how to lift yourself up, to learn how to tap into the positive energy and the confidence that is inside you to face absolutely anything that's going on in your life. So welcome. I see Dana Point, Abu Dhabi, Vancouver, Santa Barbara. Where are you watching from right now? We're about to get into this. Florence, Mexico. Wonderful. I just love seeing everybody from around the world. So again, I am reading The High Five Habit, chapter by chapter, cover to cover, because I'm on a mission to make the tools in this book accessible to absolutely everybody in the world, because these tools are life-changing. Just read the reviews of the book and you will see what real people are saying about how this is the best book they've ever read. Most people are actually rereading it right after they finish it. It has life-changing, transformational results. If you want to read along with us, I am starting on page 37 today in Chapter 3. This is where we are, right here. Why not high five everyone else? Okay? And I'm going to be taking your questions as well. Here we go. Page 37 for those of you that want to read along with your copy of The High Five Habit. And just put your questions in the comments and we will get to them in a little bit. Hey, Charlotte, one of the things that you could do is as you're scrolling through the comments, let's get a question from every platform today. And you can just hand them to me. Here you go, on a note card. Just write them down on a note card for me. Awesome. Or read them to me or whatever. All right, so page 37. Why not high five everyone else, Mel? I mean, why isn't the high five habit about high-fiving everybody else in life? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Well, first of all, you already high-five everybody else. You spend too much of your time seeing everything and everybody else and absorbing what they want, what they need, what they expect. See, this is why you're last on the list. This is also why you carefully manage your appearance, your facial expressions, your reactions. You're so concerned about meeting the external gaze of everyone around you. You think your self-worth and your self-esteem are reflected back by how other people perceive you. In fact, in one of the later chapters, we're going to get into people-pleasing and insecurity and how to catch yourself when you, how many of you struggle with people-pleasing? And how many of you wish you felt more secure? That's right. We are going to help you. The high five habit is going to help you tremendously. Very normal to struggle with people pleasing. Very normal to feel insecure. But the high five habit is going to help you build up the security inside yourself. And it's going to help you learn how to like, support, and love yourself. Because when you like, support, and love yourself, it's not going to matter whether or not other people like, support, or love you. Because their like or hate, or their love or hate, their like or dislike, their support or lack of support won't change the fact that you like, love, and support yourself. It starts with you. If they like you, or if they think you're smart, worthy, or good enough, then you feel smart, worthy, or good enough. How many of you feel like you only feel worthy if somebody else thinks you're worthy? That you only like yourself if you get the approval of somebody else? That you're waiting for somebody else to love you before you're going to love yourself? See, this is a huge mistake, and you're going to learn how to address this mistake in the high five habit, because we're going to teach you how to locate your self-worth, your self-love, your self-esteem back inside yourself. So you're looking in the wrong mirror, everybody, when you look for your worth in other people's approval. You see, 1 million likes on social media doesn't mean shit if you don't like yourself. I need you to flip the focus from looking outside of you for external validation and proof of your worth. I want you to stop looking at the number of likes and follows and views and praise and what you're getting paid and the car that you drive and the number that you weigh on the scale. And I want you to learn how to give that validation to yourself just because you're alive and you're standing here ready to live another day. So here's another question. I'm really surprised by how emotional the high five made me. When I high-fived myself in the mirror, I got emotional. I see a lot of you saying, me too. How many of you got emotional when you started high-fiving yourself? Maybe not even on day 1, but day 2 or day 3, or maybe you've been doing the high five habit for a couple weeks and you're like, why am I crying? Why does this swell up so much? Well, first of all, we're on page 38 for those of you following along. It is really, really normal to get emotional when you practice the high five habit. In fact, many people who try it are surprised by the emotions that come up. And you might relate to what they had to say. Alyssa said, I high-fived myself in the mirror yesterday. I didn't think anything would happen, but I started crying out of nowhere. It's like my soul had been waiting on that high five and that recognition forever. Boy, I needed that. Or Wendy shared that after starting to do the high five habit, beginning her day by high-fiving herself in the mirror, taking a moment of intentional reflection, she initially felt exhausted. Did anybody else feel exhausted by the high five? It's such a simple movement, but you feel emotionally gassed. Well, that night she found herself in bed early and overcome with emotion. But by the next morning, she woke up energized and suddenly able to do a bunch of tasks that she had been putting off. And she said, I think that starting my day with an intentional moment where I stare at the woman in the mirror and I give her support and celebration and I send her into her day, I think I released a lot of blocks by doing this. Anybody else relate to that? That you feel like things are releasing, that you're shedding a lot of emotional weight, that something's opening up inside of you by practicing the high five habit. And she said, if this happens to you, I want you to know this is normal. Sometimes the emotional release may make you feel sometimes the emotional release may be really positive. Michael said, I did the high five in the mirror and it felt amazing. I actually made myself blush. How many of you kind of cracked a smile or blushed or kind of laughed? It's kind of a weird feeling. That's the dopamine, by the way, releasing in your brain. Because your brain doesn't know the difference between you high-fiving somebody else or getting a high five from somebody else or you high-fiving yourself. That's one of the reasons why this is so cool. Because you're tapping into science and programming that's already conditioned into your body and using it to boost your mood, to clear away blocks, to build confidence, to feel more aligned with yourself, to build trust and partnership. It's like the coolest thing in the world. Jeanette told me that she can't help but jump in the air after her high five. Look, whatever your reaction is, positive, negative, emotional, whatever, just allow yourself to feel it. Because we're trying to break the habit of rejection. We're trying to break the habit of you staring in the mirror and focusing on what you need to fix. Or for more than 50% of you, We're trying to break the habit of you rejecting yourself by not looking at yourself at all. But by practicing the high five habit, you learn how to stand with yourself and be with yourself. So another question in chapter 3, because we're handling FAQs in chapter 3. Why does the high five habit work if it's so simple? Well, the genius and the power of the habit is precisely because it's so simple. It would be easy to think that this is the stupidest thing you've ever heard, but therein lies the secret to the high five habit and everything you learn about in this book, all the tools. If it's simple, you'll do it. And I've also found in my work and research that if the tool is kind of cheesy at first glance, and let's face it, the 5-second rule, counting backwards 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sounds kind of simple and dumb when you first hear it. High-fiving yourself in the mirror sounds kind of simple and dumb when you first hear it. High-fiving your heart, something we talked about in yesterday's live stream. In fact, you saw me use the tool high-fiving your heart to overcome a moment where I felt that wave of anxiety and overwhelm. And I used the high five to the heart, which sounds simple and kind of stupid when you first hear it. If it's simple, you can use it, especially if you're overwhelmed. And if it's kind of silly or stupid, you tend to remember it. And that's the genius of this, everybody, because tools only work when you use them. How many of you have read incredible books about tools that you can use or habits that you can change, but you've never actually implemented the change into your life because it was too complicated, or you couldn't remember what to do, or there were so many damn steps that, my God, you got just so much to do anyway that how could you possibly implement this? Tools only work. Yeah, you can read about them, but they only work when you start to use them. And so the genius of the high five habit is it is so simple. It takes less than 5 seconds. You can sneak it in between brushing your teeth and walking out of the bathroom. And if you're forgetting to do it, remember, take a little Post-it note like this one. High five, baby. Look at that. Isn't that cute? High five. This comes from my friend Kate. Hi, Kate, if you're watching over at Akamai. I stick a little Post-it on your mirror, and the Post-it with a little note or a handprint or trace your hand or write, I believe in you, something, I love you. That's a environmental trigger, little piece of science that will trigger your mind. Oh yeah, I got to high five myself before I leave. And then take your moment and do the simple high five. And remember, you don't have to say anything. The gesture alone is what triggers the chemical release in your brain and triggers your nervous system to lighten up and to give you some energy. And it also triggers your mind to start to see that you treat yourself with respect and you treat yourself like you're worthy. It's the gesture alone of the high five, thanks to a lifetime of neural association and programming that's already in your mind, body, and spirit, that explains why this so simple thing actually has profound impact on you. Research shows that to build a new habit, it needs to be easy to add to your routine. And come on, how easy is it to put down your toothbrush and then high five yourself in the mirror? Super simple. And since it's easy and it feels really good, by doing the high five habit every day, you're going to prove to yourself that you can stick to a new behavior or a challenge. And that's what's also going to start to build some confidence. You're going to see yourself taking new actions that have a positive impact in your life. And over time, as you repeat this simple habit, it starts to have an even deeper impact in who you are and how you relate to yourself. Another question I got. This is chapter 3, everybody. We are now on page 39 of the book. I'm reading this for free. My New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Amazon, USA Today, #1 bestseller, #1 audiobook in the world right now in terms of the book sales. And we're in chapter 3, and I'm reading this for free because I want to make sure that if you can't afford a book right now, you still can benefit from the tools and science in this extraordinary discovery that I made called the high five habit. And we are in chapter 3 on page 39. And the other question I got a lot is, all right, Mel, why should I trust you? You don't have to. That's it. You don't have to trust me. Trusting me is a choice. I'm actually trying to teach you how to trust yourself. I don't want you to look at me for answers. I want you to turn back toward your own reflection in the mirror and dig deep inside yourself for the answers to the biggest questions in your life. I can give you tools to help you listen to yourself, but ultimately, the truth that you need is inside of you. And that's really important because, I think it's amazing that we're here together. And I love sharing everything that I've learned that has helped me through really tough times and has also helped me become very successful and productive and happier and healthier as a person. But at the end of the day, it's your life, and you've got to live with the consequences of your decisions. So everything that I'm teaching you in the High Five Habit is removing layers and layers of crap that is built up inside your mind that's made you doubt yourself and feel insecure and be rattled with guilt and feel tons of anxiety. And we are clearing away all those blocks so you can start to recreate a true partnership with yourself and learn how to believe in yourself again, because that's how you will ultimately change your life. Here's another question on page 39. Hey, Mel, I've got real problems. How can the High Five Habit, seriously, girl, help me during tough times? Now, as you heard in chapter 2, remember Jen? She was high-fiving herself through her 5th round of chemo, and she shared in chapter 2 how she's so good about supporting everybody else and worrying about everybody else, but she has a real problem asking for help. How many of you, do you have trouble asking for help? This is so common, and at the heart of having trouble asking for help and support is A, you've been trained to take care of other people and not put yourself first. You've been told that you're selfish or you're a bitch or you're this or you're that if you put yourself first. And B, if you struggle with self-worth, deep down, this is really sad, you don't believe that you're worthy of it, or you assume nobody's going to help you anyway. And so you've created this habit of not asking for help or not understanding even what your needs are. One of the things that my husband has recently discovered in his own therapy as he is facing really long-term depression is that for so long he has suppressed his needs and has felt like they didn't matter, that he's not even sure what his needs are. And I think that's true for a lot of us, that we're not quite sure what our needs are or how to support ourselves. And again, the High Five Habit is a book that foundationally teaches you to reconnect with yourself and to learn how to not only be more aware of what you need, but to, in your heart and soul, know that you are deserving of what you want and need. And it's so cool when you start to have that breakthrough. I just love reading all your comments. And so, as Jen said, as she's going through her 5th round of chemo, high-fiving herself doesn't cure her cancer. So let me say that again. The High Five Habit will not cure her cancer. But what it does, high-fiving herself in the mirror, is it helps Jen feel encouraged, supported, and celebrated in her strength and in her resolve and her optimism as she fights the cancer. And the same goes for any difficulty you're facing. You need to high-five yourself through it. Lauren wrote, Mel, I'm a single mom, and in the past year I lost one of my very closest friends to suicide. That's happened in my life too many times too. Losing people to despair, addiction, depression, mental illness. That's what suicide is. It's a disease of hopelessness. And, as I was walking away from a relationship that was not good for me, I struggled with feelings of sadness, feelings of being unsuccessful and not enough. And every time I see a mirror, I now give myself a high five. I do it to remind myself that I am alive and worthy to get out there and grab my dreams. Mostly to inspire my daughters to live their lives happily with authenticity, to know that they are enough no matter what life throws at them. Or maybe you're dealing with a difficulty at work. It's not cancer. It's not losing somebody you love. It's not going through a massive breakup. Maybe work right now is really, really difficult for you. Kendra said, my company hasn't been netting sales, but I still high-fived myself daily to stay encouraged. And Brene wrote, I finished a project today I've been working on and struggling through for a month. As I looked at my final product, I was amazed and proud of my work. I handed the project over to my head with my head held high and a smile on my face. Now the feedback I got on my work, it's okay. It's a start. Now, typically, I would spend the rest of this day bashing myself, doubting myself, overthinking, shutting down. Not this time. Something in me forced me to go to the mirror, high-five myself, and now I am rewarding my hard work with some me time today. That's right. It's hard to get feedback, especially when you've put a lot of work in. And part of the art of learning how to grow is being able to put all your hard work into something and then either get feedback that's like, oh, I still have a lot to do, or to fail at something you've put all this hard work in and know that you can still high-five yourself through that feedback or through that failure to double down and know that, hey, I'm proud of the effort that I put in. And now I know that with this feedback or what I learned during the failure, I can apply it to what I'm working on and I can actually do even better. That's how high-fiving yourself through something changes your life. For those of you just joining us, I'm Mel Robbins. I'm reading from my instant bestseller, New York Times bestseller, #2 selling book on Amazon, on all of Amazon last week, the #1 selling audiobook in the world last week and today. It's called The High Five Habit. You've made it an instant bestseller. And because I want the tools in this book that are so transformational and life-changing and simple and grounded in science to be accessible to everybody, I'm reading it cover to cover for free. So today we're on chapter 3. We're on page 40. For those of you who would like to follow along, we're on page 40. And please tag friends that can't afford the book. Please share this on your social media pages so we can teach the world the high five habit. If you can't afford a book, please get yourself a copy of this. And if you have teams or if you have colleagues or friends that could use the high five habit, and could use the science of knowing how to believe in yourself again, how to tap into that positive life force inside of you and that confidence inside of you to go take control of your life, send them a high five by buying them a copy. I promise you, it will be one of the greatest gifts you could ever give somebody because you are giving them the gift of believing in themselves again. Like those kids who do the high five in the research study, chapter 2 is all research, everybody. In the face of failure and challenge, that encouragement and partnership with yourself is exactly what you need. The high five reminds you that you can face whatever it is that you're going through. And it reminds you that you do have the resilience, the stamina, and the strength and the courage to meet this moment in your life and to come out on the other side. The high five also acknowledges how hard you're working. Just like a teammate would support you in the biggest play of your life, you can support yourself with a daily high five that says, you know what? It's hard, but you can handle this. You know what? These problems blow, but I still got your back. You know what? We got a lot to do today, and I'm going to be here supporting you. You know what? I don't deserve what's happening right now, but I can face it. That's what the high five habit does when you're dealing with problems right now. You high five your way through it. Well, Mel, what if I don't feel like doing it? Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Part of the reason why you don't have what you want in your life is because when you don't feel like doing something, you don't do it. Your life only gets easier when you do the hard things all the time. So push through your resignation, push through your weirdness, and practice the high five habit every morning after you brush your teeth. If you're sitting there on the fence about buying this book, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, buy the book. You need this. Every human being needs this. This is the book the world needs right now. And if you don't believe me, go read the reviews. They are jaw-dropping and profound. And they are from real people around the world, just like you, who literally have devoured the book the day they got it because it was so life-changing. So please get yourself a copy. Your life only gets easier when you do the things that you are resisting. Read what Paula had to say after she started doing the high five. Because her realization, honestly, it's common and it's heartbreaking. And I think it's why people don't feel like high-fiving themselves. And that's why I wanted to share Paula's testimonial with you. Mel, it's hard for me to cheer for myself because I resent anyone with the audacity to love themselves. It sounds crazy, but it's like, will I even be likable if I like myself? I mean, aren't women who tout their achievements bitches? I hate women who constantly tout themselves. But they're also the very people I admire. the founders, the workouters, the travelers. I don't feel capable, not because my dreams are outlandish, but because I feel like there are so many people who deserve it more. Mostly because they'll cheer hard for themselves. So it's much easier to applaud the people who are ahead of me than it is to cheer for myself. It's easier to stay in the shadows than it is to go for gold and fall flat. It would be just more proof that I'm not good enough. And I have enough evidence of that. Wow. When you read this quote, you can feel Paula's pain. How many of you can relate to Paula? That, if you go for your dreams and you fall flat on your face, it's just going to be proof that you're not good enough, and you already have too much evidence of that. You can feel Paula's desire. She wants to be seen. She wants to be celebrated. She wants to feel worthy. If holding yourself back is a habit, it's time to break it and learn how to start cheering yourself forward. Right now, Paula's dreams are haunting her. And I'm sure your dreams are haunting you too. Paula longs to live a high five life. She wants to go for the gold. Now, when you read this, you can see how your own thoughts can keep you stuck in a very low place. And when you cannot give what you desire to yourself, you absolutely will resent those who can. And the high five habit is the first step to clearing that block away and changing this, giving yourself permission to have what you actually desire. In fact, in the later chapters of the book, particularly, I believe it's like chapter 9, we're going to talk about jealousy. We're going to talk about how these feelings of insecurity and unworthiness block you from allowing yourself to even want the things that you deserve in life. And that by high-fiving yourself through these feelings, you can start to reprogram your mind and treat yourself in a way so that you know that you deserve to be happy. You know that you are worthy of these things. You know that when you fail or fall on your face, it's not evidence that you're not good enough. It's actually evidence that you're trying. And that's going to make you more confident. Question, isn't a high five only for when there's something to celebrate? How many of you feel like, well, wait, do I high five myself when I do something? Sure, but I actually think you get a high five just for breathing. See, encouraging yourself every step of the way is the secret formula for winning in life. One of the most rewarding parts of running or walking a road race is that people line up and cheer for you every step of the way. Learning how to do that for yourself, whether you cross the finish line or not, will build your confidence faster than any medal or accomplishment ever could. It's interesting. I had this insight when the high five habit was named to the New York Times bestseller list. My first reaction was I was thrilled. My second reaction is I actually started crying because I was number 2 and not number 1. And that's a very common reaction based on science, because when you're number 2, you immediately feel like you were this close to being number 1. And so your brain focuses on that sort of perceived gap. Research shows that if you're number 3, you're just as happy as number 1, believe it or not, because you're not thinking, oh, I could have been 1. You're like, oh, thank God, this is amazing, I'm here. And then I literally woke up the next morning super proud and excited again. And here's a big insight that I had. I've always dreamt of being a New York Times bestselling author, and achieving that goal did not feel like I thought it would feel. In fact, it proved something. Achieving your goals and dreams won't make you happy. Working on them will. It's the journey, everybody. It's the pursuit. It's having a cool game to play. It's being up to something that makes you feel like your life has meaning. And so, that doesn't diminish the fact that I absolutely earned my spot on the New York Times list. That doesn't take away from that at all. But it was a huge reminder that so much about your happiness and a sense of meaning and purpose is anchored in whether or not you are playing a fun game in life right now. Are you up to something that makes you want to get out of bed? Do you have a goal that you're working on that pulls you out of your comfort zone? That is the secret to meaning and to purpose is to simply setting goals and going for it. Whether you succeed or fail is beside the point. It's the pursuit of it and high-fiving yourself through it that makes you feel empowered and fulfilled. Well, what if I feel like a failure right now? This is a big question. This is on the bottom of page 41. Well, if your self-esteem is in the gutter, then you abso-freaking-lutely need to high-five yourself. You need it right now, and you deserve it, and you've always needed it, by the way. Starting from the very first moment, your life has been a trial by fire. You answer a question wrong, and everybody laughs. You speak your mind at the dinner table, and you get sent to your room. You try out for the football team, and you get cut. You think someone is your friend, and they ditch you. You apply for a promotion and get passed over. You trust somebody and they hurt you. You run for office and you lose. You fall in love and you get your heart broken. You start a business and it goes bankrupt. You achieve a dream and then you start to feel lost again. I can relate to all of those, can't you? We perceive these as failures, but they're not. They're just life. These are lessons. Like steel, your confidence, resilience, and wisdom, they are forged in fire. Your life is always teaching you something if you're willing to look at it that way. So why not reward yourself not only when you win, but also when you fail spectacularly? I mean, until recently, I had this whole thing reversed. I used to be the kind of person who held out the reward until I achieved the goal. And I was hard on myself every step of the way. I realize now how much harder I was making it on myself to both be happy, to feel fulfilled, to enjoy my life as I was up to a big game. What I've learned is that failures almost always lead to something amazing down the road. In fact, there's a whole chapter about this mindset. This is preparing me for something amazing that hasn't happened yet. I can't wait for you to read that chapter. The high five habit will help you pick yourself back up when it feels like life is knocking you down. And you need to, because you have the strength within you. And you're going to need it to knock right back when the time is right. Okay, page 42. Mel, I'm ready to start the high five habit. What's the best way to begin and to remember to do it? Excellent question. First of all, get a copy of the book, The High Five Habit. Read it cover to cover. Come back to it, highlight it, underline it. You need to understand it because then you're going to use the high five habit in the mirror, the high five to the heart, and all the tools in this book to change your life every day. But I've also got something called the High Five Challenge. What is the High Five Challenge? It's simple. It's free. It's 5 days. And you're going to, for 5 days, start your day by high-fiving yourself in the mirror. That's it. And here's the coolest part. You don't take this challenge alone. You and I are going to do the challenge together with 121,000 other people from 90 countries. That's how many people have signed up for and completed the High Five Challenge. 121,000 people from 90 countries, and their results are extraordinary. If you've taken the High Five Challenge or you're currently in the High Five Challenge, will you tell everybody what you're getting out of the High Five Challenge? Every day, you literally watch a video training from me, you journal, you then share what you're learning after you journal in the comments, you upload a selfie, you cheer for other people. It's extraordinary. And it's going on at high5challenge.com. That's high, the number 5, challenge.com. For 5 days, you're going to be part of a global online community of people who are all taking the High Five Challenge together. Every morning, you get an email with a link to a video pep talk that's going to teach you something, inspire you, go deeper into the research in this book, and the changes that you're going to experience. You'll also be able to track your progress and connect with and cheer for other people. And even cooler, those same people are going to cheer for you back. Look, here are some of the people. How cool is that? You know, it's so awesome when you know that you're not alone. And in just a second, we're going to be done with chapter 3, and I'm going to take a few questions, okay? So while you may be alone in your bathroom high-fiving yourself, when you join us at high5challenge.com, you won't feel alone because you're not going to be alone. There's 121,000 other people in there with you. And the best part, it's free. There are no strings attached. When the challenge is done, you will still be able to log into the challenge. You don't have to buy anything if you don't want to. You do not have to do anything. You can take the challenge, be done with Mel Robbins thereafter, but the High Five Challenge for 5 days straight is yours for free. thanks to me and my friends at a company called Growth Day, which is offering it up on a platform so we don't have to be in a Facebook group. Isn't that awesome? Research tells us that it's a whole lot easier to change when you feel support and encouragement from other people. The fact is, you are not alone. People around the world are waking up every day and doing this challenge with you. So take a minute, go to highfivechallenge.com and get registered for free. After just 5 days, you'll be surprised by how different you feel. Fran said, I must say it hits different every time I high-five myself. I can feel something heal a little more. I believe a little more. This is day 5 of high-fiving myself and being transformed by the renewal of my mind. Now that's a movement. My friends and family started doing it as well, and now I see that I can make a profound difference in the world. 5 days. Give me 5 lousy days, everybody. It's highfivechallenge.com. I realize that's backwards on Instagram and out of focus on every other platform, but we're trying. Finally, Mel, can the high five habit create lasting change? Yes. And the high five in the mirror is just the beginning. In the remainder of this book, you're going to learn a dozen more ways to give yourself the encouragement and support you need. And as you practice using these tools to flip yourself from a place of being stuck into a state of taking action, you'll experience even cooler things related to confidence, happiness, and fulfillment. Your relationship with yourself is the foundation for everything in your life. How you talk to and treat yourself sets the tone for everything you do. It determines how you feel, what you think, and what actions you take. If you look in the mirror and don't see a person worth celebrating, you need to change that. The bottom line is you have a lifetime of positive association with a high five because you've been doing it for strangers, friends, and teammates your entire life. The neural association is in your brain. The programming, everybody, is already there. We're just teaching you to tap into it to change your life. By making it a habit to look yourself in the mirror and high five yourself every single day, it will change the patterns that are stored in your subconscious, the patterns that are relate to you, the patterns associated with your mindset and your outlook and your motivation and your optimism and your confidence. And that will improve your mood. It will help you achieve your goals. And fundamentally, the high five habit and the tools in this book will shift the trajectory of your entire life because it shifts everything about how you relate to, see, and treat yourself. That's the secret. All right, come on in, Charlotte. Today's reading ends at page 45. We're going to start chapter 4 tomorrow. Now, chapter 4, 5, and 6 are all crazy amounts of science about the brain and how your brain works. This is going to get so cool. So bring your notebook, tag your friends. Now let's take a few questions. I've got a couple minutes here for questions. First, we're going to go to, let's go to YouTube. On YouTube, Sammy asks, can the high five habit still work for somebody who's blind? I love this and can't see the reflection in the mirror. I'm blind. Yes, Sammy, it can. And let me tell you why. You have received high fives, pats on the back, hugs your entire life. So your brain actually has the programming in it to give you the dopamine and the energy shift. What I would recommend, because I'm sure that you still stand in front of your sink and you brush your teeth. There's a wall in front of that sink. I still want you to raise your hand and I want you to feel the wall. And I want you to visualize in your mind your spirit touching your hand. That will cause the shift in your brain. The physical touch of your hand hitting that wall and you imagining your spirit and your humanity and you on the other side will be enough to give you the dopamine and the energy shift in your body. Thank you so much for asking that question. And what I would love, Sammy, is if you could please report back on what you're experiencing. And if you add anything to what I just recommended that is helping you, please let us know, because we will write a blog post about it so we can make sure that other people with disabilities are able to tap into this incredible science too. You can email that to hello@melrobbins.com. I would be forever grateful to understand how this impacted you, Sammy, and what you've also learned. Thank you for the question. Let's go to Joe on Facebook. Will you be coming to the UK? Joe, hello. Yes, actually, I am coming to the UK the week of, I think I fly out November 6th. I'm going to be we're trying to find time to meet with the amazing Dr. Chatterley. I think that's how he says his last name. He just ran the London Marathon. I'm also going to be on Chris Evans' radio show. We're going to be hopefully scrambling. We're going to try to get together a book signing or something. I don't know what the COVID restrictions are going to be like, but I'm basically going to be in the UK November 7th until the morning of, I believe, the 11th. I cannot wait. Julie asks, I have a friend who just filed for divorce after 29 years. Will this book help her? Yes. Send her a copy of The High Five Habit, and let me tell you why. She is going through a major life change. Not only what will feel like the death of her marriage, because even if she's excited for the divorce, integrating the fact that the marriage is ending is very and can be very destabilizing. If they have to sell the family home or the home she's lived in for a long time, that change in environment can be very destabilizing. So having all the tools in this book for her to be able to stand in front of a mirror and high five herself and show her brain and her body that she believes she'll be okay, that she knows she can get through this, that she's still standing, that she's strong, that she has a game worth playing, that will be a freaking game changer. Because in the beginning, when you go through a divorce, everybody surrounds you and there's a lot of support. But as the divorce drags on, your friends get sick of hearing about it, and friend groups start to change, and your environment starts to change, and you feel a massive sense of isolation. And since the High Five Habit is about creating trust and partnership with yourself, this book will give her the greatest gift of her life. You will help her reconnect with the strength inside of her. You will help her rediscover that partnership with herself, something she probably lost during that marriage. And so if you can do it, any of you that have friends going through a divorce, a major breakup, some big life change, just get online, order a copy of The High Five Habit, send it to them with a gift note. I'm seeing people start to do this all over the internet. It is so moving to watch you send this book as a gift, because you are literally giving somebody the gift of their life back. I'm not kidding. Seriously. Let's go to Amy F., also on Facebook. I must be missing something. I felt nothing when I high-fived myself. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. Nothing's wrong with you. You probably have a lifetime of beating the hell out of yourself. And so you've got a little bit more gunk there. Here's what I want you to do if you're not feeling something. My guess is you're probably doing this, or you're slapping the mirror. Slow down. Stand in front of the mirror. Look at the human being in the mirror. That's not a reflection. That's a human being that you've been ignoring and picking apart. And that human being needs you. They're trying really hard. They need you to be kinder. They need you to see them. They need to feel your support and your love. Stand with that for a second. If you feel yourself looking away because you're disgusted by yourself, or you don't like where you're at in life, or you don't think you're a good person, or you feel a lot of shame, stand there anyway and look through your face and into the eyes of the human being. Then I want you to ask yourself, what do they need from me today? I bet you've never asked yourself that. And then we're going to take advice from my friend, best-selling author, Mr. Jason Wilson of Battle Cry and Cry Like a Man. And you're going to slowly raise your hand and then just hold it up there until you feel something. If you've spent a lifetime beating yourself up and feeling unworthy and rejecting yourself, it's going to take a few days for you to melt that crap, for you to crack that shell and let a little light back in. But I promise you, because of the dopamine, because of the nervous system response, it will happen. And also get into the High Five Challenge. Get into the High Five Challenge for free, highfivechallenge.com. And you will see 121,000 other people. And many in there said, I didn't feel anything until day 2 or day 3 or day 4 or day 5. Keep doing it. Come back every day with a commitment to break through this. And trust me, it will happen. Instagram. HumanXX asks, is habit grown by thought? Do you know what that is? Habit grown by thought?
Is like, are habits grown by thoughts?
No. You have habits of thinking patterns. But what I want you to start to create, and why I love the High Five habit, is this is a physical action. It is physical to raise your arm, or if you don't have an arm, throw your elbow forward, or not your elbow, your shoulder forward. That physical action is what triggers all the stuff in your brain. You see, you have so many thinking patterns that are stored in your subconscious that are negative. You're probably not even aware of how negative you are. And so by high-fiving yourself physically, we shut down the negative thoughts because your brain can't think something negative while you're doing the physical high five, because the programming associated with a high five is all, I love you, I believe in you, let's go, I see you, I support you. It's neurologically impossible to say, I hate you, I hope you lose, you're a bad person. You've actually never high-fived somebody and thought those things. So the neural association that gets triggered by the physical high five is a positive thought pattern. That's why I want you to stand in front of your sink and not actually have a mantra, but just do this, okay? Because the physical action alone is enough. You can interrupt thinking patterns. You can create new thinking habits. The fastest way to create new thinking patterns, though, is through something called neurobics. I talk about this extensively in chapter 2 of the book. Neurobics is marrying an unexpected physical movement, like high-fiving yourself, with a new thought pattern. So I'm teaching you the mental shortcuts. The habits that are going to change your life are the ones that involve physical actions that you take. That's why this high five habit and all the tools in the book are things you physically do. Okay? Amazing. All right, let's go to another one.
I have more written here.
Oh,
too.
great. Do we have one from LinkedIn by chance?
Yeah, let me look it up.
Let's go to wilson.annie. Why do I hate myself when I look in the mirror? Because it's a habit. In chapter 4 and chapter 5 and chapter 6, we get into why we all hate ourselves. And, chapter 4 begins with a text that I received from one of our daughters. It says, how do I not feel like the ugliest girl at the bar every time I go out? True text. And if you hate yourself or you look in the mirror and you feel disgusted, this is a thinking pattern that you've had probably for most of your life. And, we can go all the way back to your childhood home. And perhaps this is the way that your mom or dad or caregivers treated themselves. And so it's a pattern you've adopted. Or maybe people were abusive to you in your childhood home. And so they said these things to you that or treated you or abused you in a way that left you with trauma that made you hate yourself. Or, I think most of us have this intense experience of self-rejection the second that we start kind of school, where you start to see yourself, instead of looking in the mirror and seeing, I love myself, and you spin in front of the mirror and there's nothing wrong with you, you start to go to school and it becomes very obvious you need to fit in. And all of a sudden your brain goes from a self-love, self-acceptance celebration machine to the sorting hat in Harry Potter. And you suddenly, as an 8-year-old, start to see the world in places, you start to see the world in 2 ways. Places you belong and places that you don't. And then your internal monologue starts to go, like think about being in a lunchroom when you're a little kid and you've got your tray, right? And you're scanning the lunchroom and you're drawn towards wanting to sit with certain groups of kids, but you're like, I can't sit there, those are the sports kids. I don't dress like those kids. I don't look like those kids. I'm not like that person. And all of this sorting hat that your brain, the monologue of don't go there, don't go there, don't go there, It's literally rejecting you. And you're doing it because you're trying to project yourself from the rejection of other people. But you end up developing a pattern of rejecting yourself. And I think that's where it begins for the majority of people. And it also gets reinforced by shit that's happening inside your house, by the trauma that you experience, by the discrimination, the bias, if you're experiencing systematic racism, if you experience poverty, anything that makes you feel other or that you don't belong or aren't worthy, it reinforces your mind going into a mode of scanning the world and seeing where you feel safe and you belong and everywhere else where you don't. I think that's where the hatred begins. And one of the things about the high five is if you stand in front of a mirror and you hate the person you see, or you are part of the 50% of men and women who can't even look at themselves in the mirror because they can't stand where they are in life, or they think they're a bad person, or they have so much shame, or they hate how they look. Raising your hand and high-fiving yourself anyway, it's an act of defiance to all that shit. Because the high five actually silences the self-hate and says, I see you. And I'm still cheering for you. And I'm still here with you. It doesn't begin, the high five habit, with you feeling like, yeah, I love myself. That's not going to happen right away. It works at a deeper level because the high five is an act of compassion. It's an act of empathy. It's an act of understanding. It's an act of witnessing. It's an act of acceptance. And when you can silence the hatred and silence the constant barrage of rejection and negativity, now we're starting to program new neural pathways associated with you and how you feel about yourself. And that starts to change everything. So I'm glad you're here, and thank you for asking that question. Do we have a LinkedIn question?
Everyone's just saying where they're from.
Okay.
I have a question about failing. So this person from Facebook says, it just hit me. Failing solidifies I'm not worthy. Where did I get this belief?
Okay, it just hit me. Failing solidifies I'm not worthy. Where did I get this belief? I'll tell you where you got this belief. You got positive attention when you got good grades, when you did well in sports, when you made the school play, when you got the Girl Scout badge, when you got accepted into your school, when somebody started dating you, when you made it on the cheerleading squad. You got positive attention for winning. And so we start to, all of us, associate achievement with being worthy of love. That's how it happened. I have the exact same thing. Everybody gets positive attention when they're doing things right. And we start to believe that we got to be doing something, or we've got to be achieving something, or we've got to win something in order to be worthy of love. And that's why so many people are afraid of failing, because they think if they fail, it means they're no longer worthy or they're no longer lovable. And a lot of us are even afraid of trying, because you think that if you try and fail, oh my God, then it means. And then some of us, I don't know if any of you relate to this, but I think I've worked myself into the ground because I just wanted to feel loved. And if I was busy and if I was doing stuff and if there were things to talk about that I was doing, it meant I was worthy. The biggest breakthrough of your life comes when you realize, no, you're worthy because you're breathing. You celebrate your birthday not because you get another trip around the sun. You celebrate your birthday because you're actually here right now, still breathing. That's why you celebrate your birthday. You are worthy simply for existing. And you need support and celebration and love in order to continue to take the actions that lead you toward the things you desire and that you deserve in your life. High-fiving yourself is the biggest form of motivation and inspiration and encouragement in your life, and you can give it to yourself. I remember when I was texting with my daughter, she said, wait a minute. So what if I didn't go to the gym this morning? I slept in and I missed a class. Are you saying I still high-five myself, Mom? Even though I didn't get to the gym and I missed a class? Yes, I am. I'm saying you start every day by cleaning out the gunk in your mouth and starting your day with fresh, clean breath. I want you to clean out the gunk in your mind, body, and spirit. All that self-hatred, self-doubt, self-judgment. with the high five in the mirror that says, I see you, I believe in you, let's go play a big game today. No matter what happens, I got your back. And even though you didn't get up on time, even though you slept through class, even though you didn't get to the gym, I still believe in you. That's what the high five is. Absolutely. Any other ones you want me to answer quickly before we sign off?
Sure. So it says...
Ooh.
Yeah.
This is a big one. Mel, I can do the high five habit from time to time, but being married to someone that doesn't see the good in me makes me feel like I'm starting over all the time. How do you keep from feeling defeated? First of all, the one person who needs to see the good in you is you. When you see the good in you, the fact that your spouse cannot take away from the fact that you still see the good in you. The high five habit will foundationally change you and your relationship, because it's changing your relationship to yourself. You do the high five habit for yourself, not for your fucking husband. You do the high five habit for yourself, not for your kids, not for anybody else but you. Because you're looking to your spouse to be supported and to feel validated. No. You bring that shit in-house. You start validating yourself for where you are. And when you start to relate to yourself like somebody who deserves love and who deserves respect and who deserves support, and you start giving that stuff to yourself, let me tell you something. Your marriage is going to change because you've just changed. And something's going to wake up inside you and you're going to realize, wait a minute. Either this person needs to get on board with treating me the way that I deserve, because I know how I deserve to be treated, because I treat myself that way every morning with a high five in the mirror. Or this marriage needs to change, because I will not be in a relationship with somebody who does not see the good in me. Fuck that. Like, no way. You need to start, though, by proving it to yourself, not to him. Prove it to yourself, and everything will take care of itself. And if you're forgetting to do it, you take that Post-it note and you stick it to that mirror right where you see it, and you write, I believe in you, or I see the good. High five to that. I see the good. High five to that. I'm a good person. High five to that. And you high five your way to a new relationship with yourself. And you will be shocked by what happens to your marriage. Period. All right, everybody. That concludes today. I loved all your questions. Thank you for being here. We will see you tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Friday, we've got to adjust the time to 10 a.m. Eastern. We will put that in the caption. But I love you. I believe in you. Know that I am here high-fiving you. Go get yourself a copy of the High Five Habit. If you got something out of this, and you can afford to buy this book for yourself, your friends, your loved ones, your teammates, you go and change people's lives by getting them a copy of this book. You got it? And if you can't afford a copy, I get it. That's why I'm here every day reading you a chapter from this book and taking your questions, because I want this to be accessible to you, no matter where you are in the world and no matter what you're dealing with right now. All right, I love you. Your turn to go love yourself. Mwah. High five, everybody. Everybody.